How's it going, everyone? Hope you're all well. So today I'm going to be whipping this wheel off, getting under there to that suspension and putting one of these in. Decent spring, we've got to sort out the drop link, put the whole shock in. That's just easier to do, but you can buy a separate spring, undo the top, put your spring in, clamp it down, buzz that back up and put it in. But I looked at the state of my shock and stuff in there and I thought, well, I'll just get the bits and do this bit. So we'll take it apart, I'll show you how to do it. Hopefully I'll help you do yours and save you a bit of money. So I'm Carl, let's get started. So first thing we've got to do is obviously get it up in the air. I've already jacked this up in the air with the jack, and I've got axle stands all around the car and lifted it up because I've done a reach bar in this car. But just a normal jack under here, and the seal point's just under there. You've got a little notch cut out. Put your jack under that, bring it up. If not, go further under and go on the chassis point or on the bottom of the bottom arm sort of thing. So you're going to want to 17 to under your wheel nuts. Now you can use a wheel brace or whatever you've got. Obviously I've got a gun, so I'll just whip them off. Let's see what we've got underneath, shall we? Pretty dirty and dusty and horrible. So what I'll do is I'll get a light set up under here. I'll bring you over and I'll show you what's what in here and what's happened. So as you should be able to see, it's pretty rough under there. It's been sitting around for a while. It's covered in cobwebs, dirt, dust, you name it. But if you look at the spring, it's in about 5 pieces. Not good. Obviously isn't doing anything whatsoever. Like that. Absolutely terrible. I do believe there's a bit of play on the top mount as well. As you can see, that shock's a bit rough. Drop link's not the nicest, so I thought just get a whole leg and get in there and get it done. So I'll let you know what size all these bolts and stuff are as we go around. We've got to do these ones here as well. We've got to take the drop link off. So I'll let you know all the sizes to the spanners and the sockets and stuff we use. We'll get in there and get this cleaned out. What I'll probably do is just give it a quick hoover and a brush down with a wire brush just so we can see what we're doing, and we'll get started.
Let's get in there and get that light out, shall we?
Should have got that light out. If you can't do it that way, then I'd recommend just getting in there with a jet wash and blasting it down. See the old disc been done that long ago. There's no lips or nothing on them. That's good. That's what's nice to see. Pads look like brand new, so that's good as well. So let's start getting on some of these nuts and bolts, shall we? Okay, so I've got a bit of WD here. I'm going to squirt on the things that we've got to undo. That's the top of the drop link, bottom of the drop link. These bolts here. And what this will do is soak in and help us release the bolts, as well as help us just get a bit of the rust off, because you'll find on these older cars you're always going to find a bit of rust. It's just how they go, I'm afraid. Some are better than others. Some have already been done and be really tidy under there, and some will be absolutely terrible and need a really good clean up, and 2 or 3 soaks with some WD or any sort of penetrating oil, really. What I'm more trying to do is clean up around the bolts, so when I put the socket on, that don't spin, and strip it, because that's the last thing you want. We ain't got to worry about the actual shock and spring too much, because they're going in the bin. But all the bits that are attached to them, we've obviously got to deal with. And what I'd normally say when you squirt these up like this is do it 2 or 3 times, and then go off and have a cup of tea, coffee, etc., something like that. Let it soak in for a bit, and away you go. So we'll get the rest of the gear ready, and then we'll get on some of these bolts and see what undoes and see what don't, and give you some sizes. So I know first of all these top ones here are 19. I'm going to try and blast it with the gun, but a lot of the time they just spin, as you can probably hear. Which ain't a lot of good to us. Bit of spring getting in the way there, but when it does that, what you have to do is get an Allen key in the end of here, and then get a spanner on the edge of it, and do it like so. So I'll show you that. Okay, so I've got myself a T30 star drive, which will fit in there. And what we'll do is we'll just tap it in gently with a hammer. Just to make sure it's fully in there. Move the bits of the spring out of the way if you've got one like mine that's snapped. You want your 19 spanner on there. And you've got to hope that your socket will loosen it off, basically. Yep, we're spinning. So basically your spanner just sits there holding the tension on the nut, so you can wind it off, and you try and keep it still really, and keep going with the socket. It's starting to get tight as I'm doing it, so as you're going, keep dosing it in the WD, because you want it to not get to a point where it starts stripping itself. You want it to still keep going round. It can be a pain. At the moment it's still going. Ooh. We did slip slightly that time, but we're still doing what we need to do. Ooh. And we'll just keep winding until we wind that out. Okay, so you might come up against start slipping, so what I've done is I've got myself an Allen key on a socket, and we'll do the same again. We'll knock that in there because it's starting to slip on the star drive. You could use this from the beginning, to be honest. It's just where they're rusty, they're a pain, and you just want to ratchet with an extension bar. And you just got to hope you can get it to keep going. Should be able to. This one is very tight. It's definitely being a pain. Right there. And what I'm doing is I'm winding it back up, and then I'm going to reverse it. I want it to start sort of loosening it up on itself. And then once you feel it, it's going to wind straight off. you just go all the way with it. See, that's gone loose now, as you can see. You can actually do it with your left hand. It will go tighter as you get nearer the end again. And you will get to a point where you should, wants to play ball. It's getting tight again. We'll give it a few minutes and wind that again, and then we'll just wind it off. Okay, so I've tried a couple of things to get that off. I've had the grips down the back of there, holding it with the socket on the front. Very good, just spinning. Same. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to have to turn it, and I'm going to have to cut through the back of it. And down the bottom down there. We're going to have to stick another drop link on it. Quite often that is the case. That's why most people just chop them off when they send them to you. And they're very inexpensive. Probably worth doing while you're doing it. Okay, so I've got myself a pair of goggles. A grinder with a cutting blade on it. And we're going to have to go in basically there. Cut behind there. I'll try and keep you on so you can see what I'm doing without getting in the way too much. But obviously the safety has got to be the number one thing. Let's get in there and let's see what we can do. And we're through. Obviously don't touch it because that'll be red hot. And you just knock. If that doesn't come through 100%, you just have to cut it a bit closer on the back there. Get the notchy bit off, or if not, just grab it with something and wind it off. Like so, and then just make sure you jump out of the way when it starts to pull down. Because like I say again, that's red hot. Put that out of the way, get it away from all your wiring and stuff. And that's that one out of the way. And you will have to do the same on the bottom half of that down there. But it's the same job. You can actually force that round, break it off, and you better see exactly what you're doing down there. And take it off, or what I'll do is I'll get this out of the way first. And then we'll do that. So let's move on to the next stage. Get all this lot off for a minute because I ain't going to need it for now. So these are a 19 if I remember rightly. It's just whether you can get on them again. Try and get all that rust off. Just fit the socket over them. If you knock the socket on a few times, that just moves the rust basically. And what I normally do with these is I'll put the 19 on the back. Again, you got to get through the rust. You should eventually be able to get on it. They are a pain, I will admit, because they just disappear, they rust away. I think they're 18s actually. So we'll get an 18 spanner. So we've got the 18 spanner on the back, we'll tap it on. You just don't get a choice, that's just how rusty they are. Grab our 19 again, put it on top. And I'll gun this, but you can do it with the ratchet bar as well. No problem whatsoever. Being a pain because that's sticking through too far. being a pain to get the gun on it. No, you'll have to get a long socket on there or another spanner. It's the only way to do that by the looks of it. Again, that's going to be an 18. Okay, so I've got myself a deep socket for the gun. That's on. Hold this side. Ooh, they're tight. And we're spinning, which we don't want. That's exactly what we don't want them to do. They're such a pain. They get so rusted up that they do exactly what they're doing now. They don't fit now, that's the trouble. No, I know for a fact that they're that size because I've done them loads of times before. But what we're going to have to do is probably hit a 17 on there. So we don't have a choice because it's being a pain. Okay, so we're hitting a 17 over the top. We'll get our 18 back on the back. Hopefully this time we'll get somewhere. This is the thing, the rust is more in the hassle than anything else doing these cars, these older cars. And we got it. There's the nut. It's going to be a bit hot. That's okay. Whew. And that's basically what comes out. We've got another one at the bottom there. And sometimes you have to mess around a bit to get them out of the socket to be able to use it again. Other times they'll come straight out. This one's going to be a little bit of a pain. So all you do is get on the edge of something and pretty tight. This one's been a lot more of a pain than any of the other ones are normally to me, to be honest. This is actually causing me hassle. Most of them are not nearly that bad. But I suppose that's good on a video to show you what they can be like, because you might get a stubborn one as well. Really doesn't want to come out of this socket there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wind it on the bottom one so we can get a bit of purchase on it. Then we should be able to hit it and move it around a bit. And there you go. That's how you get them off if they're being a pain. Remember, that one's going to be a pain. Put it back with the bolt to the side somewhere. You can always order new bolts if you want to, but that should go again if not. Got the same at the bottom there, but then we've also got some stuff up the top there to do as well. So we'll loosen the bottom one, but we won't take it out. We will pull this off though, because that comes around the edge of it. Because that comes out with the shot. And we've got to try and get the spanner on the bottom one again. Definitely very rusty. Now, can we get the 18 on this one? Or are we going with the 17? The 18 does fit. Whether it's going to undo or not is a different thing. That could spin like I did on the last one. Or it could just undo like that. That's how they normally come undone, to be honest. Normally they just whip off like that. As you saw, the nuts in my hand, they don't get jammed up. And we just wind it on there a couple of turns and let it sit there because that's holding everything up at the moment. And we're going to go up the top and I'll show you what we've got to do up the top here to free everything off. So next of all, we're working on the top mount under the bonnet here. First thing you've got to do is Just pull this little cap off. Sometimes they won't be there, other times they will be. And then you obviously got to undo this nut under here. Sometimes you'll have to put a spanner, like a ring spanner in there, and hold this top bit with a thingy, but we'll see what we get, and I'll let you know what we got to do. No, so we've got a spinner, so I'll show you what you have to do there. This is what I'm saying, nothing's as straightforward as what you think it is, to be honest. You think some of these jobs should only take half an hour, 15 minutes, you know, depending on what sort of job it is and how easy. But it's not. Sometimes the food bolts can be an absolute pain. They're all rusted up and horrible. So we'll get in there with the right stuff. I'll show you what I used so you can get yours ready, and we'll get it out. Okay, so we're all set up and sorted for that. I've got a 9mm socket on a ratchet like so. I've got an 18mm here for leverage. You lock this up on the top, you pull against the 18, and as you can see, it'll start to loosen off. Now, if we hadn't have left that one under there undone, that would just fall out and it could fall on your toes and that hurt. So hence why I left the bottom one in. Wind it off. I always put everything up the top there ready to go. Lift off the metal top mount, put that up there, and that is all loose now. That will actually come through if we undo the bit down the bottom there. So next thing to do is get back down the bottom there, undo that nut and bolt that we didn't actually take out, we left loose. Move that through, put it aside. And then this lot can just drop forward. Watch your wiring, that needs to be that side of it, not that side of it. Give it a wiggle, angle it down like so, and pull it out. And then we have everything on the floor. That's in a state, definitely in a state. These rings always, these springs always seem to just fall apart these days. I don't get many of these now, I don't have to put a spring on. Now this one is a lot better from what I can see. So what we do is we'll be under tension this time, so we'll pump it up through the top there. Make sure it all sticks out the top. And then this is where you gotta mess around a little bit. Get this all lined up. To get that in there like so. As I done last time, if you can just get to the point where you got one in, we'll do the one that's got the good nut. Bolt in from the back, and then you just got to move it around till you line up basically. No, that didn't go through. Be careful, make sure your actual shock is actually connected near your hub. It's a bit of messing around and fiddling about, but once you get it where you want it all, it does come through. It's just been a bit of a pain because it's a bit rusty, as you've seen from the whole job. Basically. Come on. Been a right pain that don't want to go through. Lifting the car up off the stands. Come on. We're all lined up, it's just not happening for some reason. Hooray, thank you. Yeah, it can be a bit of a pain, you have to wiggle them around and get them lined up. But as long as they're where they should be. should be all good. The car's lifting up and down because I've got it all on stands like I said before. Put the bottom one through as well. Just give it a wiggle. Normally the bottom one will just go straight through like that because the top one's already lining it all up. Make sure you don't cross the thread anything. Just wind them on like so, give them a bit of WD. Keep the old threads going nicely. And what we didn't do, which I should have done, is we didn't cut that off while that was on the floor, did we? We should have done that, shouldn't we, really? And the bottom of that one, really, but it's not a problem. I've done them like that before. And you can normally get in there and do what you got to do. But you can see where you've got to do that, and then we come back up the top, line everything up, get your plate back on. You're not going to be able to get a nut on there because all of this has got to go up, basically. It's got to go like that. The whole lot's got to go up. Then you get your nut, wind your nut on. And then once you get it on a few turns like that, that'll then hold everything together. You blast all these back together. Like so. So this one's been a bit of a pain. They're not always a pain like that, but some can be. Get them nice and tight. The bottom one's going to have a 17 like it did last time, but still should go nice and tight. That's the aim of the game. Doesn't matter about anything else as long as it goes on there nice and tight. Yep, they're both lovely and tight. Tight as you can get them, basically. And then I'll wind the top in up there. What we did before, we just down on that piece there. And you should be able to just wind it without holding anything on the top. You just keep doing that till it's tight. And then that's back in. It does take quite a few turns because it's pulling all the weight of everything else up, pulling everything tight. But now we've got some suspension on this side and not a horrible broken spring, which is nice. So you get the idea. So I'll bring you back in a second when we move on and get that drop link out. Okay, so I've chopped off the other bits of the drop link. No point me showing you that because you saw me do one earlier on the top one, didn't you? And then get your new one out. Obviously spin the nuts off. And basically they go through like so. Same as the old one did really, but you gotta get your angles right. Yeah. To get them through like that. What I've done is I've got the key in the ignition and got it so I can turn the steering where I need to. And you basically do that. Do them up. Now, sometimes they will just blast up because they're brand new. So we'll have a go at that. That's what we'd rather do, isn't it? That would have done if the thing hadn't come through. Like so. And then the bottom one, you can't get that on it, so you have to get on there with a spanner. Preferably the right size would be handy. As you can see, that's gradually going in. You basically just keep doing that till it's tight, and you're back together. Put some wheels on, and that's where you need to be. So that's pretty much where you are. You basically just put the wheel back on, do the gunner, or use your wheelbase, whatever you got, and you're back together. Should have steering, should all be nice. Spin your steering wheel both ways all the way, make sure nothing sounds like it's loose or something like that. Check everything. Get a bit of WD, clean stuff down. Brake cleaner's probably better, but WD will do the same thing. That will just eat at some of the rust and stuff. People will probably look at that and think, well, why are you putting that on your brakes? But that'll only be there 15-20 minutes at the most. That'll start to drip off, and that'll just clean up what you've done, basically. So that's about it, I think. It's about as much as I can tell you. Give you all the sizes and everything. Told you where to cut things off if you need to. This is pretty much as much as I can tell you on that one. Right, so hopefully I've saved you plenty of money. You can do this on your driveway at home, or outside, whatever, and not have to send it to the garage. It'll save you a fair bit on labour and stuff, because most places are 100 quid of labour now. So it's £100 just like that. Obviously, get a shock and a spring all in one, and you can put it in like I did. But if not, you have to buzz the top off, pull the mounts and stuff out, keep them in order so you know exactly where they go. Put your spring in, clamp your screw down with some clamps, buzz that all back together in the same order, and put it back in like I did. So either way, that will do both jobs. Or just save myself a bit of hassle, because I found a shock and a spring with a basically new spring in, so that was handy. One thing I will do now is get in there with a cloth, and I'll just clean up all that spring, clean up all that shock, wipe around everything, and just make it all look nice. That's how I'll get up there and get all over that spring, get it over everything. Even though I haven't got to do the other side, I'll go in the other side, because that's just how I prep my cars. So I'll go in the other side to clean that all up as well and make it all look good. There's actually a brand new spring on the other side already, which where we just put a spring in. So pretty good. So like I say, hopefully I saved you some money. I'll see you soon in the next video. If you like this sort of thing, maybe subscribe to the channel. There's plenty of Corsa stuff on there, and there's also loads more coming. And if there's something that's not on there you want to see, let me know, and I'll make it a video for you, which I've done for quite a few people lately and helped them out. So thanks for watching. See you soon. Bye for now.